What's up, everybody? Today is Tuesday, February 6th, 2 days after the Super Bowl, 3 days after UFC Fight Night 125. You know, Machida and Andrews. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show, and this is the show before the show, and it's an extended version. How about that? So we got about 6 minutes to fill with some jibber jabber, and then we'll get into the MMA Junkie Radio Show. So today's guests, I'm sure you're wondering, Josh Emmett will join us. It's going to be early in the show, and he'll join us at 1:15 p.m. Eastern, 10:15 a.m. Pacific. He's coming off a big win over Ricardo Lamas, and they rewarded him with a main event out in Orlando, Florida. Big Fox. I mean, that's a big promotion, man. But I guess he did his damage on Fox, so why not feature him on Fox? He's out of the Team Alpha Male camp in Sacramento. He'll be taking on Jeremy Stevens, who's kind of had a resurgence in his career. So that's going to be a really, really good fight at 145 pounds. Emmett got what Stevens has had in the past, and that's a quality win over, you know, someone that's ranked. So he got that over Lamas, and so that's what catapulted him, because Lamas, was top 5 the last few years. So good on Emmett. He'll join us. It's going to be an early start, so you know we'll start the show and recap the latest news that might be out there, break early, come back with Josh Emmett, and then that's going to be followed by Roy Nelson. Roy Nelson, he'll join us. He's headlining, let's see here, Bellator 194 out in Connecticut, and that happens on the 16th of February versus Matt Mitrione. That'll be the second fight in the Bellator Grand Prix. As you know, last month, Chael Sonnen defeated Quinton Rampage Jackson, excuse me. So this will be the second fight. We still have King Mo and Ryan Bader to go, and we still have Frank Mir and Fedor Emelianenko. That'll be the end of the quarterfinals, and we'll have semifinals. Provided they're all healthy, the winners will advance. There's also another group with Sergey Karatanov and Javi Ayala, I guess. They may either fight to be alternates, or maybe they've already just been anointed alternates. And one of them's number 1, one of them's number 2. So we'll see. And lastly, we have Kyle Stewart. He'll be on the show as well, another headliner. So Emmett, Nelson, and Stewart all headlining different cards, and he'll be headlining LFA, not this Friday, the following Friday, and he'll be headlining that card, and so we'll talk to him. He'll be in the second hour. So Emmett and Nelson back to back, 1:15 p.m. Eastern, 1:15 p.m. Eastern, followed by 1:30 p.m. Eastern, and then Stewart will come in the second hour, in the second hour. So Goes is kind of going back to his roots, doing a little bit more producing today. Dan Tom, we wish him the best. He has taken a job with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Just kidding. No, we wish him the best because he has surgery. He's been open about it on the show. Hernia or something like that. Every time I say umbilical, it just sounds like, ugh, anything to do with the belly button. I don't know if they're going to be yanking out anything or...
That creeps you out?
I don't know, something. Yeah, I wish he'd just say a hernia. But you know, because you think of like a baby being born and they cut that cord and just
I don't like
your belly button. Yeah, I just
Audi belly buttons are super weird.
You just don't know what's happening. That's an area where I don't know. It was what we know why it was created, but maybe because Aaron from Texas gave me that creepy story about stuff being stuck in there. You never heard that story, Danny Olkers?
No.
Hey, Olkers. No. Aaron Menard had his belly button cleaned out or something like that. And when he went, they pulled out like fuzzies, gunk, dirt, a yo-yo, a kazoo. I mean, all kinds of stuff. And so between that and Dan's umbilical hernia talk, it just, I don't know, gives me the...
Would you rather have what Aaron had in his belly button or what Abel had in his ear?
What did Abel have in his ear? I forget.
A moth flew into his ear, so he heard like... Like,
2
like,
minutes.
And he couldn't get it out of his ear, so he had to go to the emergency room.
Holy shit.
I would say that one would really freak me out. So, but I can top that. You know, Steve Straw's brother Adam, he had, I think it was, hold on, some sort of a roach going to his ear. Yeah. And it really threw off his balance, and they were trying to dig it out. The tweezers, he had to go I'm not sure if he made it to a hospital or if there was a big medic stand, because this was out in Brazil at the carnival parade, parties or whatever, and he put on one of those wigs that's kind of like a flashy color, but it's not
like Marge Simpson.
No, a wig. It's just one of those that you put on for fun. Men and women do it, and it's got that stringy feel to it, kind of like the same material as those really nice balloons. Not a regular balloon, but just something like that. And they were just taking pictures, goofing off, almost like when you go to a wedding and they have a booth. You know what I mean? And there's different big old glasses you can wear and a boa and wigs. He just happened to put something on. They were horsing around, but I guess a roach or something crawled out of that, went into his ear. And at first, like, what the hell? And he felt something. And then he was like, what was that? And he thought it may have fallen out. He kept pushing or digging, but that was pushing. And then next thing you know, he had trouble with his balance. And so they were like, wait a minute. And yeah.
That girl, was it Broke Down Palace or something? Where two girls are in jail in like Thailand or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
She I don't know what you're talking about. Go in her ear.
A roach?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Coming up
crazy, huh? 10. All right, so we're starting off here. Join us for the next 2 hours. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Myself and Goes and Danny back east.
Where's Lauren Mack from? Or where's he stay?
Singapore.
That's where.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology.
MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission.
Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes. Our co-host / producer, back east, our other producer, he's Danny Olkers. Olkers. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Doing great. How about you?
Good. I'm tattling right now on somebody. Tattling? So, yeah, but when I tell you who it is, you'll go, oh, okay, go ahead and tattle.
They deserve it?
Mm-hmm.
Who is it now? I want to know. Oh, can I just look, or?
Sure, maybe.
I just want to see the name.
Take a look.
Oh, I don't know.
Just want to make sure, there's... Our community's tightening up security. Let's just say that.
Okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when you get to a certain age too, you're entitled to a little bit more tattling.
Oh yeah. No, I just want to make sure that I don't come home and things are missing. That's all.
Yeah. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, huh?
So there's a big group for our whole community and people talking. Why not? The other day we had SWAT trucks, like just 2 big SWAT trucks and about 20 cars, paramedics just. It was Sunday morning, I believe, before the Super Bowl, and they were all headed towards past our home. And our area is very quiet. They call it Mountain's Edge, and it's just basically on the edge of a mountain. That's why I always complain about my mobile coverage for AT&T. And because of that, we just don't really hear sirens too often. I mean, there's community patrols, but it's basically more families with kids, and so there's schools and parks, and that's it. You don't really have like a feel of other areas in Vegas where it's just 24/7, and so there's a lot of people coming in and out at different hours. Ours just seems a little bit different. But that caught us by surprise. So we thought either that's an exercise or something's going down. It turned out to be a situation where someone barricaded themselves. But, you know, this is the first time that's happened in 5 years. And honestly, you'll hear a siren maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, and nothing ever comes of it. There's not really much chatter amongst the neighbors as far as anything. But ever since I joined this group, I think other areas of Mountain's Edge has had some problems with burglary. So I'm just a little bit more being careful. Maybe it's it's Ring. Junkie Nation, help us out. Ring.com. What's the other one you mentioned? Vivid? No, that's the porn company. Vivid? The security, the cameras?
Oh, Kuna?
Kuna. I thought somebody else had another one that got recommended to me. Vivid or Vivita or something like that. Well, all these companies, they are doing their commercials for security. And I don't know. I guess that's why marketing works. Something stays in your mind long enough. You're like, yeah, let's try these Dorito Locos tacos, motherfucker, whatever they keep pitching, you know.
There's a new one too, right?
Or let's go try, you know, what anything else that's being pitched. All right, I guess I'll go to Olive Garden. I'll feel like family. I don't know. And I've been noticing a lot of that on Facebook and also on TV. So maybe between that and just the Facebook group, I'm just a little bit more on my toes, keeping an eye. Max got bit the other day by a pit bull. I mean, that wasn't a burglary, but it was just something that went down in our neighborhood. But, yeah, I'm a little bit more on our toes. In regards to the Super Bowl, I think we're, you know, we did our share. It's an MMA show, but we talked about football. A few people in the chat didn't like it. Well, you geeks got to straighten up, man. I don't see how you can't like MMA and football.
One day a year.
Exactly, and football. Like, I could see if it was MMA and figure skating, then you'd go, well, nothing really happens in figure skating that's even close to MMA. But in MMA and football, a fight breaks out. In football, there's violence, there's hard hits. You know, a tackle looks like a double leg. I don't know. But you should see how people are just not interested, and they go out of the way to tell us that they're not interested. Well, it ain't stopping us, that's for sure. We're still going to talk about it. But God, football's such a great game, man. Whether you're a fan or you played it, whether you played it till pee-wee football, flag football, junior high, high school, college, whatever, man, it's a great atmosphere. I know people that don't really like football much, but even going to a game is a pretty good atmosphere. Now, let's just say you don't get out to a game, and let's just say you don't do any of that. It's the Super Bowl. Someone's having a kick-ass party with a lot of good food and some drinks. Deal with it. I mean, it ain't going away. It's just going to get bigger and bigger.
I think we're getting closer and closer to that being a holiday, that Monday.
The next day? It should be, man.
I really think it's going to happen.
There's a lot of hangovers. People were complaining about hangovers yesterday, meaning the day after the Super Bowl. But anyway, in regards to that, I've been having a little bit of fun with the Brady-Montana discussion. And, of course, if you're a Brady fan, I expect you to stand up for your guy. I'm a Montana fan. I stand up for my guy. There's no right or wrong. It's my fucking list. You make your list, you know, and if I want to chime in on your page, great, you know, but so been battling a little bit back and forth with a few people, having some fun. But I think the people that it stings the most are the people that just cheered for Brady, I should say. Cheered for Brady and were devastated by the result, you know. The Patriots fans are just, I mean, they've had a nice run, so that one hurts because it would have been back-to-back. It would have been 6, which would have tied the Steelers for most Super Bowls, and it just would have added to, you know, the legacies of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick primarily, and the Patriots as well. But, you know, it didn't happen. They came up short, and that's that. But like I told that certain individual on the Facebook chat, hey, man, it's not like 125. It's not like me, Leota, Machida, and Eric Anders left us with, you know, this feeling like we couldn't wait to get to Monday to talk about that. I mean, what we were talking about the most was Mario Yamasaki, you know, and his actions. So we had Frank Trigg, who's a referee now. A lot of people don't know that. They didn't know he was a referee. He is. He's a referee, and he's certified to be a judge. But he's mostly, like, I think 95%, maybe 99 even, refereeing. And he doesn't talk about it much. So there you go. I think he's doing a good job to just get away from what he once was, which was a fighter. He competed for the UFC belt at welterweight a couple times, and that's 12 years, 13 years removed, and he held a couple other regional titles, and did a little bit of work with stuntmen, but now he's very, very involved in mixed martial arts. So I thought his opinion was one that would be very important coming off a card like that had that type of controversy. And how about the unique twist that Yamasaki was involved in a fight that he was involved in with Matt Hughes, the second fight where you guys
think we need to explain that.
See Matt Hughes slam Trigg. Well, actually, he may have done that in both, but he
the first one he kind of double legged him and lifted him up and brought him down.
Right. So in the second fight, Frank went out and got a couple wins, if I'm not mistaken, then comes back and fights Matt Hughes after being rear naked choked by him. And in that fight,
Dennis Hallman, I think, and then
sounds about right. He kicks Matt Hughes in the groin area. Some might just say he kicked him in the balls, all right? And he may have. I don't know. I mean, it was pretty close, and I guess one could argue that it was. So, anyway, a couple shots. So, Matt Hughes is down. He's kind of doing his timeout version. But Frank's not stopping because Yamasaki didn't stop it. But as all that's going down, he's raining down some punches. I'm going off memory here. And there was a point based off the strike that folded Hughes and the subsequent ground and pound that a stoppage could have come and Frank Trigg would have been the champion. Hughes and Trigg would have been 1-1, and they were going to be the coaches on The Ultimate Fighter following Randy and Chuck because the UFC really liked having two fighters be coaches and then compete for a title. But Yamasaki doesn't stop it. Hughes recovers, comes back, scoops him up, carries him across the octagon, slams him, and then eventually finishes him with the same rear naked choke. And so that's why Trigg was saying he probably cost me about $1 million because they would have had a trilogy at some point. At the time, the coaches were getting a $100,000 SUV along with maybe some other payments, and plus we don't know how the third one goes. I mean, Hughes could possibly win, or maybe Trigg wins. I don't know. So, in Trigg's estimation, it's a fun number to throw out there. Could be right, could be wrong, but that's what he meant.
But during the sequence, if you watch the fight, he lands a punch that actually knocked Hughes out. So he kind of looked up at Yamasaki like, he's out. Like, am I supposed to keep hitting him? He didn't do anything. So the next punch hits Hughes again, but he woke him up with that one, and that's how all that happened.
Yeah, not a complete flat line, but he did.
He was out.
Yeah, he hurt him pretty good. So that's what happened. That's what we were talking about yesterday. So it was nice to get his unique perspective on that. But I'll tell you what, like I said, we're going to start things early this week, or sorry, today. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Josh Emmett. So we're going to take our small break now, talk to Josh Emmett, see how that goes, maybe squeeze in another break in between, and then we'll get to Roy Nelson. These interviews are coming at you really quick, just for the first hour. And then we'll have time to talk Trigg, talk Yamasaki, talk other stuff, talk other news in mixed martial arts, fights that have been signed, fights that are rumored, like Cody Garbrandt versus Frankie Edgar. Are you guys feeling that? We'd like to know. Garbrandt would be moving up to featherweight to compete because he wants to possibly save the card. He obviously wanted to fight Dillashaw for his world title, but it didn't work out, so he just wants to fight, and Edgar really wants to fight. I kind of like it, don't you?
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's Garbrandt's decision. If he wants to do it, great. He's really a contender at bantamweight. I would think anything that got him closer to that he would do, but he's willing to do it, so I take my hat off to him. And how about this? Garbrandt and Edgar are both managed by Ali Abdelaziz, so what would he be doing that night? I don't know. All right, it's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close, and we'll be right back.
This is MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, so Eagle fans, if you want to rejoice, check out NFL Radio, Channel 88. They're talking about it, man. I was listening to it on the way in, and they've had a lot of guests, including the owner, Jeffrey Lurie. They had Nick Foles on. So get on over to Channel 88, seriously, if you want to hear some NFL talk. And Eagle fans, again, congratulations for your huge win. Hey, how was that? That was just an impromptu read that I just made up.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good? But, I was sharing my personal experience, which is I always have it locked in on 93, but when we go to commercial or something, or maybe they're discussing something that we've been drilling, to death on this show, I'll change to the other channels, and the NFL channel is one of my favorites. And they really, really had some good guests, so kudos to those guys. They were talking to, a lot of the big names, including the Super Bowl MVP, the owner. I mean, great job. All right, so our first guest is Josh Emmett. He has had a great move, last 2 months, because that knockout over Ricardo Lamas on Big Fox kept him on Big Fox. He's headlining Big Fox, and he's got another quality name in Jeremy Stevens. And, I mean, that's what you get. You go out there and you perform, and next thing you know, he's a contender. I mean, him or Stevens they're moving upwards with these wins, and at some point, Max Holloway's going to get past. He's going to, well, I shouldn't say that. The Edgar matchup will sort itself out, and then there might be another contender out there. Aldo maybe if Edgar wins. But Ortega's obviously a hot name. But guess who's following? Who's in pursuit of those guys? It's guys like Josh Emmett. He joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. What's up, Josh? How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on, you guys.
Awesome, man. Hey, really, really happy for you. You put in some work in your career with wrestling and now in mixed martial arts. That win over Ricardo Lamas, though, man, that really, really got you to the front of the queue. So we haven't talked to you ever on this show, I don't believe. Congratulations on that big win and just everything that's come with it, including the headliner bout coming up versus Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah, no, I couldn't be more excited for this, and the reason I took that Lamas fight is just because I knew what it would do for me. I knew I'd leapfrog everybody, especially with a big win over such a veteran and a legend of the sport, that I would be in the top 5 and I would be a contender. And I just knew the abilities that I have, and I come from one of the best teams in the world for the lighter weight classes. And a lot of people didn't know who I was, but I've been with them for, over a decade, and I've been working so hard for such a long time, and now my hard work's finally showing, finally paying off. Yeah,
so I want to share a story with you. You won't hear the typical questions from other shows. What's your weight at? All that shit. I'm going to share what I think is an interesting story. So Goes, my co-host, and I, we were in Virginia, and we were there with Uriah Faber to visit the troops. I don't know if he shared that story with you guys, that he went to visit the military for a few days, but we were actually with him.
I saw that.
And so when we were talking about this fight, it got discussed amongst everyone in the group. When they got to me, they go, "What do you think?" I go, "Man, Lamas, I don't know if I said Lamas all day, but I just said Lamas. I remember saying that, and I was not going to be convinced otherwise. And just because he's really done well almost against everyone he faces, and the only guys that have beat him have really been guys that'll go down as legends. And so he goes, "I don't know, man. Josh Emmett, he's tough. He hits hard, And I gave him a look like, come on, Uriah, settle down, He's your guy and everything. So I'm here to eat crow, Josh Emmett. You fucking did what Uriah said he was going to do, or said you were going to do. And you beat a really tough guy, So I remember sitting there going, wow, this dude really is for real. Your boy Uriah firmly believed in you, not just because he's teammate and friend, but, he presented ways in which you could win. And one of them we said was, obviously, you had some hands, you were working hard, you were hungry. And I don't know. I guess I thought it was too early in your career for a guy like Lamas. But seriously, I'm here to eat crow, but I thought I'd share that with you.
I'd take a side of crow too. I'll eat some as well.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, and it's and I think from Uriah, I've been there since he opened his gym, and man, I've trained with the best guys in the world. I've been their main training partners for all these guys. Like when Mendez was fighting Aldo for, the 2 fights when I was Uriah's training partner for Edgar, and just the list goes on with the teammates, and I've been there and competing. So it's like, I know a fight's different, but, I know where I kind of stack up with the people that have come through our gym, the teammates that have become champions, title challengers, number 1 contenders. So, he believed in me, and the only people that were counting me in were, my teammates, coaches, family, and friends. Everyone else I knew what they were saying. I was a big underdog, and I had no chance. And like you said, Lamas has beat everybody. The only people that he lost to were like close fights to, the current and former champion and stuff like that. But I knew I could do it. So that's why I took it, and I was the only one that took it. So I'm fortunate that no one in front of me said yes, because then I would not be in the position that I am right now.
Right, which is headlining UFC on Fox 28 in Orlando, Florida, versus Jeremy Stevens. So another guy that can throw some hands, who comes from a wrestling background. But I think at this point, is your confidence level the same as it was in December, or did that fight just kind of raise that and basically validate everything you've always thought you were, which was a potential contender, maybe title challenger, maybe champion at 145 pounds?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even think it really built my confidence at all. I just feel like I know what I'm capable of, and it just felt like any other fight, you know what I mean? It was either, I fight the third best guy in the world, or say I fight, the guy that's ranked last in the division. It doesn't matter. A fight's a fight. Anything can happen. They're still the best fighters in the world in that weight class, so why not gun for the best? And that's what I did, and everything's the same to me. No difference. Nothing's changed. I'm just back to, practice and all that. And, I'm going. I'm not going to stop till I get that belt. And then once I get that, I have new goals, and I want to defend it and, go on from there. It's now or never for me.
Yep. Josh Emmett, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He's out of the Team Alpha Male Camp in Sacramento, California. 13-1 overall, coming off a big win over Ricardo Lamas at a previous Fox show, the one that was headlined by Lawler and Dos Anjos. Of those 14 wins, 5 KOs, 2 submissions. He's only had the 1 loss to Desmond Green. All right, Goes, what do you have for Josh Emmett?
Desmond Green is exactly what I wanted to ask Josh about. Josh, the Desmond Green fight, if we erase that, you would be on a 4-fight win streak in the UFC.
Fine.
What do you think would be the biggest lesson that came from that fight?
So for that, and people ask me about this, I still think I won that fight. I think I won 2 rounds to 1. I fought him in his hometown. I feel like I got hometown. And it's kind of like what we just saw in Brazil, with like the 10 Means fight. I thought he won. But, going into someone's territory, you have to either finish him or dominantly win the fight. And this is when New York, just started having fights and stuff like that, and we've seen some controversial losses. And I knew that going in, but it was the only thing I took away positive from that is I made the decision to go to featherweights. My plan was to go 145 once I got in the UFC, but I got in at 55. I was winning. If I would have won that fight, I would have stayed at 55. So I'm fortunate that I actually got that loss on my record. My only blemish, amateur pro, is from that, but it made me, just like I said, I wouldn't be in the position if I did not lose. I wouldn't have went to 45. I wouldn't be headlining the fight on February 24th. So that's the only positive thing I took away from that, even though I feel like I won that fight.
When I look at Jeremy Stevens and I see his style, the way he throws his punches, the way he moves, does that play into your strengths and your counters?
Definitely. I've been watching Jeremy Stevens fight for almost the 11 years he's been in the UFC. So, he's a pioneer of the sport. But yeah, I think we match up stylistically. We match up really well. I think we have similar styles. We both come from a wrestling background, but it does. I want those people that just keep coming forward, like to stand and throw in the pocket. I just think I'm going to be faster than him. I think we're both explosive and hit hard, but I also think my movement's going to be a little tricky for him. So, but there's really only one way to find out. I always say that we're going to fight, so we'll find out February 24th who hits harder and who the better fighter is on that day.
Josh, you're out of the orthodox stance, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I really like the way how your power punch sometimes sets up your left hand. I think a lot of people felt like when you missed I think it was your cross, and you threw the left, that it was more of a reaction, but that looked like a planned sequence. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so that's what my boxing coach Joey Rodriguez and I, we've been working for a little over 4 years now together, and everyone was always just saying I'm a wrestler with the overhand right, but he said it all along, like, man, you hit just as hard with your left hand. So our plan, we saw tendencies in Lamas, and we just talked about that. Like, he went to go kick me, I threw overhand right, I missed because he slipped out to his left, and I just brought the hook back, and it was just a tight hook, and I found the chin, and he was also bringing his hook back, but I landed first, and I don't know, it's just things we worked on, because I can do anything. I can kick with both legs, I can hit with both hands just as hard, and so I think it just kind of showed the masses and out there that I have power in both hands, and I don't just have a right hand, but it's I don't know, everything's been working out well, and it's just we have a plan for Stevens as well,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's really cool to see. A lot of people will set up their jab to throw their power hand. In this instance, you threw the power hand. What I want to ask is, you missed. Were you throwing it with full ferocity, or was it planning to, or do you have to let up a little bit just so you can keep your balance and come back with that left hook the way you did?
I threw it with everything I had. Every punch I have or I throw has bad intentions behind it.
Right.
And it's hard for me because even like, I hear the commentators like, oh, Josh is getting tired. I am not getting tired. I can go at such a high intensity or high output for 15 to 25 minutes, and I fought title fights on the regional scene before I got in the UFC. So every punch, it's hard for me just to touch, and they're like, let's set it up the power, let's just touch, get in first, and then throw the power. And I know I talk about that with my coaches. I think I'm going to go in there and do it, but when I get in there, it's just, they know, I know, I can't do that. Every kick, punch, elbow, whatever I'm doing is 100% power, and I'm trying to end the fight with that strike. So I just, that's how I train, and we work that over and over again, and it just came. It was just a textbook left hook.
A lot of times when you're in the gym and you're, obviously the faces of the gym for many years were Faber, Dillashaw, Mendez, Benavidez, and now there's like another generation coming through. What are those guys? We can't call them old timers because they're all still pretty young. I mean, Faber's upper 30s, but what are those guys now starting to share with you guys as far as like, being mentors? Is there anything, for example, Uriah or Chad or anybody that's ever told you that's kind of stuck with you that, that whether it's just advice about your career?
Like I said, I've been there for a while, and Chad's been one of my main training partners for such a long time. But the funny thing is, I'm a few months older than him. But Uriah, he told me a long time ago, just when he saw potential in me, and he has an eye for talent. He also, I told him I wanted to fight in the UFC. It was the UFC or nothing. I didn't want to fight in any other organizations. But when I was 2-0 as a pro, he said, "You're one of the best fighters in the world, Josh. Just nobody knows it yet." And when he said that to me, I kind of thought like, maybe I didn't believe it. You know what I mean? But as I continue to win fights and get closer to the UFC, and then I got in the UFC, and I've been doing well, then I was like, man, maybe he was right. And now I do believe that, and he said that so many years ago, and that's one thing that stuck with me. And and just little things here and there, just mentoring me about one thing he says is, do as many interviews as possible. It doesn't matter how big the show or small the show or the following is. He says you never know which one is going to be the one to like get you out there, and or maybe, you know, just for a listener to like really like, I don't know, just enjoy your story, enjoy the person you are, and maybe something good comes of it. So just a few things here and there like that. But other than that, you know, it is a confidence builder and booster when I train with such great athletes from the team, and they tell me, you know, how good I am, and I've always been a fan of theirs, you know, and love watching all the guys from Team Alpha Male fight, and just thinking they're the top guys in the world, and then they're, you know, telling me that I'm one of the best. It's, you know, it's different, you know, I guess, but it means a lot.
Well, Josh, I'm telling you, it's I think, you know, you have a really good shot at making 2018 a contender / possible title challenger year. It all started with that big win over Lamas. Now you got Stevens, who he's also got a lot of buzz going. So good luck with all that, man. Seriously, you become fans of yours, and you shut up a lot of doubters in December. And now I'm sure more doubters will get shut up on February if you get your hand raised. But thanks for spending some time with us and letting us get to know you. Best of luck with the rest of your camp. Safe travels to Orlando, and good luck versus Jeremy Stevens on February 24th.
Well, thank you, guys. You guys have a good one. Thanks for having me on.
All right, you too, Josh. Well, he was a nice guy, huh?
Very cool guy.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to back. Another headliner joins us now on the hotline, Roy Nelson. What's up, Roy? How you doing, my man?
What's going on, guys?
Not much. Good to have you back on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. You're on with George and Goes. Matt Mitrione coming up here in a few weeks. You know, you've kind of been around. You know what I mean? You've won titles. You've knocked out a lot of guys. But I'll tell you what, I'm not one of those guys that likes to ever talk about what I see. But, God damn, you're still working hard. It's like you love your job. You have a lot of hunger out there still, Roy, after so many years and now being in your 40s.
Yeah, no, it's you know, you do what you love, and then everything else kind of falls into place.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, a matchup versus Matt Mitrione, what gets you the most excited? Is it the fact that he's just a big guy like you, he's got power like you, and, you know, the rush of, hey, he can knock my head out, so I got to get him before he gets me? Or is there something else about mixed martial arts or this matchup that gets you excited?
No, you know what gets me excited is the Grand Prix. That's what gets me excited. It's like you see the light at the end of the tunnel, so it makes everything easier. So there's no like, hey, if you just win this next one, we'll give you a title shot. Mm-hmm. Okay, did that. Oh, okay. Well, you got to do this too. Like, there's just too many games. But with when it's a tournament format, it takes the politics out of the game. You know, it's just like the Super Bowl. It's just like the NBA Finals, like the World Series. You know, it takes the politics out of the game.
Mm-hmm. And do you like having rematches, or do you prefer fresh matchups?
You know what? This would be actually my very first rematch.
Okay.
In my whole entire fight career, because I've tried to get rematches on the losses that I've had in my career. So nobody else, you know, anytime I would offer that up to get a rematch, nobody would ever take me up on that offer. So now I guess I got to go off of the fights that I've already won.
And now you're actually 5 years removed from that fight, so you know, he's in a different camp. He's accumulated his fair share of wins, so I guess it probably feels like a fresh matchup. I mean, you've changed as a fighter as well.
Yeah, no. As fighters, all you want to do is just keep growing and being the best fighter that you possibly can.
What did people tell you after the Javi Ayala fight, whether it be either media, fans, training partners? Did they tell you anything specific about that win?
I think the biggest thing I got was just like great wrestling.
Yep.
That was like where did that come from? And I was like, I've always had it, just never used it.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was gonna say. I mean, it was such a complete fight for you. You know what I mean? Because you got some strikes in there, but that wrestling and then working the jiu-jitsu, your overall skill set came out, and it overwhelmed his overall skill set.
Yeah, no, I mean, what I try to do from camp to camp is just keep getting better and better.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like full circle. It's like, you know, when you first start out, all you do is, you know, submit people, and then you knock people out, and then you go back to, you know, submitting people and knocking people out, you know, on a consistent basis.
Yeah. And I think another thing that happened was it just sent a message to all future opponents. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to run the ball. I'm not just going to pass the ball. I have a complete offense. You know what I mean? And that's why I thought it was a really key win in your Bellator debut. And I think it's a key win for everyone that is going to try to strategize, you know, if they have to fight you here in this tournament.
Yeah, no, I think everybody just knows, you know, exactly, you know, like, hey, Roy Nelson's still here, and we're not going to be able to just walk through him or, you know, actually run from him.
Yep. Roy Nelson, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He's 23-14 overall. Of those 23 wins, 14 have been iced. 5 submissions thrown in there. So that's a pretty high finishing rate there for Roy Nelson. And he's fighting Matt Mitrione in a quarterfinal matchup of the Bellator Grand Prix. The winner of that Grand Prix will be the heavyweight champion over at Bellator MMA. All right, Goes, what do you have for Roy Nelson?
Roy, George brought up that last fight, and I thought it was a great performance as well. But when you think about it, your last 19 fights before that were in the UFC, and this being your first Bellator matchup, what was that like? I know when King Mo first went over there, he said a couple things caught him off guard, of the circle cage, the lack of angles, how slippery the canvas actually was. Was there anything like that that stood out for you that night?
No, definitely, the cages, different changes some aspects of the game. But, I mean, for overall, I've been there, done that. It's just, it's just two guys going in there fighting. Doesn't matter if it was a circle cage, a square cage, or ropes, or ring. We're just going to go out there and fight.
You know, you've been able to keep an amazing pace as a fighter throughout your entire career, and I know you can't do that without sacrificing things. Are there things that we don't know about you, like just, like hobbies that have had to take a backseat, travels? What are like some of the biggest sacrifices you've had to make, and things that maybe you're looking forward to doing when you do retire?
I think the biggest thing, when I do retire is just, be able to do more things with my son, and just be able to, go out and, because I travel quite a bit for what I do, but not be able to actually experience and actually enjoy what the beauty is out there, that when you're, like when you go overseas or something like that, you really don't go on vacation, but everybody's like, oh, why don't you go do this? And you really can't do that when you have a mindset of that you got to fight.
You're Vegas born, by the way, or I'm not sure if you're born, but I know you were raised here, went to high school here. If you weren't a fighter, do you think you'd be like involved somehow with the gaming industry, like a casino executive? Do you know where you would be, I guess, in Vegas if you weren't a fighter?
If I wasn't a fighter, I'd probably go back to what I originally started as a school teacher.
Oh, okay. What grade?
When I taught, it was elementary.
There you go. I know one thing he'll start doing again, Goes, when he's retired. I think he'll start playing basketball. Weren't you like an everyday pickup basketball player or something like that back in the day? About 10 years ago?
I used to play basketball all the time. That was my go-to game.
You still got game?
That was like, I did. That was one thing I always did really well, was play basketball. It's just I wasn't 6'6".
Yeah, and Goes is right. I'm looking, and almost every year he's fought at least 3 times, but for sure the 2 times. In 2007, he fought 6 times, for crying out loud. So that is quite a pace, man. I'll drop the health talk because I definitely don't want to jinx you, but yeah, that has been quite a career for you to stay busy and stay active out there as a heavyweight, considering, you've kind of fought the who's who of the sport.
Most heavyweights are crybabies.
Well, there's some that haven't fought definitely at this kind of pace. I wouldn't call Cain Velasquez a crybaby, but he sure has been injured a lot. But anyway, all right, my man, we'll keep it short today. Thanks for doing the show. Good luck against Matt Mitrione. Can't wait to see the result of this, and I can't wait to see how this whole heavyweight Grand Prix shapes up, because there's some quality names in it. But thanks again for joining us here on MMA Junkie Radio.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, see you, Roy. All right, so thank you to myself for lining up the Emmett interview, and Jesse Nelson for lining up the Roy Nelson interview. All right, so right now we're going to take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. When we come back, we are open to take some calls 866-522-2846. We can talk about any of these matchups that are coming up. There's shows coming up in Austin, Texas with Cerrone and Medeiros. There's the Emmett show coming up versus Jeremy Stevens in Orlando. Nelson and Mitrione get down in about a week. Are you warm to Garbrandt versus Edgar at UFC 222 here in Las Vegas? God, I hope they make that goes. Otherwise, what kind of a card do we have?
It gets canceled if it doesn't.
Right?
I think it does.
Yeah, I think so, or they just turned it into a fight night. I don't know how you could charge $64.99 for that card. And I give the UFC a lot of passes. I always say, hey, they came strong in November in New York. They came strong in Detroit. So maybe December, just pay it. You know, you were okay. You know, it balanced out. But this is a tough sell. All right, we'll talk about that when we come back. Again, it's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close, and we'll be right back.
Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start. You told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here Georgian goes.
If you like 80s music, put it on Channel 33. It's called First Wave, and DJs like Richard Blade will keep you entertained as he plays back those great hits from the 80s. Channel 33, First Wave Radio. How's that, Ghost?
Not bad.
Not bad?
That one's better than the first one.
All right. So that was 2 headliners back-to-back, Josh Emmett and Roy Nelson. And we have one more coming up in the second hour. But right now we can talk about the latest news or anything from this past weekend. Did we put that card to bed, Goes? Were you done with Machida versus Anders? I mean, Davison Figueiredo, he's still undefeated. He defeated Joseph Morales, who's out of that Team Alpha Male camp that Faber was high on as well. But he only goes to 9-1. That was 2 undefeated fighters. Soto lost to Yuri Alcantara. Could Soto possibly be looking at maybe the downside? You know what I mean? A lot of fighters had felt Alcantara was on the downside, and he was the guy putting other fighters over. Alcantara got the win there. Poliana Viana defeated Maya Stevenson. I think Maya, there might be a cut as well there. Her run in the show wasn't that great. You know, I know she's Joe Stevenson's wife, but keeping it real here. Now that Alan Patrick guy, he's only had the 1 loss, and he now needs a big name, and he'll be basically a lightweight contender. He defeated Damir Hadzovic. Sergio Moraes is 7-1-1 as a welterweight. He got past Tim Means, but the only problem is only one outlet on MMA Decisions had it for Sergio Moraes. I don't know how much the stock grew
I thought it was
there.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
I didn't think it needed to be that lopsided. I thought it was actually a close fight, but I was kind of leaning the other way.
Now Moraes does have the Neil Magny win from a few years ago. Whoa, I barely got that leg up. And he has that Neil Magny win from a few years ago, but he also got stamped by Kamaru Usman. But Usman's turning into a pretty legit fighter, so there may not be no shame in there. But again, Alan Patrick has like a 5-1 record or 7-1 record in the UFC. Sergio Moraes, you know, these guys are popping. They're just popping overseas, but here stateside, there's no reason why they shouldn't be getting plugged like the way James Vick. He's 8-1 UFC, but he's doing it in North America. He did it on the big stage in New York. He's talking a good game. You know, there is a little bit of a sacrifice about being an overseas fighter, always featured on some of these overseas cards. But Thiago Santos, 8-2 in his last 10 fights. He's on 2 4-fight win streaks that sandwiched in between are the 2 losses. But so he's had some runs, got checked, and now he's on another run versus Anthony Smith. But get this, he's been pretty violent. All of them been TKO stoppages. This is the Bope officer, so I guess that's their version of SWAT out there in Brazil. But you know, he's starting to get back, you know, into the mix of things.
That's what Paulo Thiago used to do, right?
Douglas Silva de Andrade defeated Marlon Vera. He's also got you know, a little bit of a run going. Timothy Johnson, the heavyweight, got past Marcelo Golm. Michel Praceres goes. He's like, I think he's like 9-4, but he's kind of on a streak right now. The only problem is it looks like he's committing to welterweight, and
gotta make weight.
And so that'll be a whole new different ball game. But 3 of his last 4 fights have been missed weights for Michel Praceres. I think that's what we're calling Michel Praceres. And he gets a lot of decisions. That's another thing. Those decisions just, I don't know. They don't catch fire, man. There's nothing to build off those. The finishes just get so much more love from the matchmakers, the fans, the media. Who knows? And then, of course, now we have Valentina Shevchenko, Priscilla Cachoeira. I think we talked that one to death. Valentina, how can she not be next for Nico Montano? I know Sajara Eubanks is probably going to have a problem with what I just said, but you know, that young lady missed weight, and I just don't know that even though she had a great run on the show and she's got some skills, she may be even favored over Nico Montano, if they were to fight. I don't know, but she just set herself back, you know, and Valentina, I mean, Valentina's done a lot. Now, I'm going to try not to be a homer here, but Valentina defeated Holly Holm, who just recently had a good fight versus Chris Cyborg. Remember, if 2 judges called the 5th round for her, she's the champ. She's also lost a split decision to the current champ of 35. Now she's probably a favorite to win 25, which is flyweight, and she's got 3 wins in Muay Thai over the who was the reigning queen up until last November, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. So her skills just seem to transfer. You know, it seems like she could be a big fighter for the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
For the division, too.
Yeah.
To put that division kind of on the map, I think.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we're beating it to death, because she had probably the best performance that night, I thought, of anyone. It really stood out. She looked fantastic. I think the UFC can really build something off of her.
Well, now Jessie Jess is 25. Paige Van Zandt moved to 25. Lauren Murphy and Barb Honchak are, names that are familiar to a lot of the fighters. Caitlin Chikagan, she dropped to 25. So all of a sudden, 25 could actually turn out to be something, and 35 is going to suffer a little bit. Don't forget Carmouche and Alexis Davis also fought at 25. Valentina drops to 25. Jessica I drops to 25. Calderwood, I think, wants to move to 25. I think she tested the waters, came back. I think if a run is done for her at 15, you'll see her move up. Beck Rawlings moved up. So 25 could be pretty interesting going forward. Lyoto Machida, he wants Bisping. Anders, I just think he needs some time off and then come back, figure out what went wrong in that fight, and get back to what he was doing, which is stamping fools out.
Though. I mean, that's a puzzle that a lot of people have had problems with Lyoto Machida, but I just think there were a couple moments that he probably could have taken advantage of that he just didn't. And it's probably more than likely it's experience, I think, really.
So I don't want to talk about individually any of these fighters. All I can tell you is there's a lot of stuff happening overseas where fighters have decent runs or records going, and it's just not getting talked about in North America. But because they're on fight nights, people get excited about pay-per-views, big Fox cards, and then after that, it's select fight nights that if the fight night has a quality main event. What was Brunson and Jacare? That was a big Fox card, right?
Yeah, regular Fox.
Okay. Cerrone in Medeiros. That's a fight night. People are into Cerrone, and Medeiros is coming off that great performance. That's a fight with Derek Lewis that's going to get attention to the card. So the main eventers are drawing it, and some of these other fighters are drawing it. They lost Borg and Brandon Moreno, but there's a few other names. They escape me right now. Once you're there, and then you perform on one of these cards, I think all of a sudden that spotlight's just bigger. The Brazil card, people weren't as into it, man, going into. I mean, I watch it because I love MMA, but I wasn't really that excited. And then all of a sudden, we see that there's really some quality fights going on. But then again, there's fighters that are fighting other fighters that you're not so sure of. How great is that win? Is it really a great win or is it not? Because Praceres, how I told you he lost a couple fights. Well, the last one he lost was to Kevin Lee in 2015. So once he tried going up, Kevin checked him. At that point, hell, I think Kevin Lee was still calling out Sage Northcutt. I don't even know if he was as great as he is now. Mm-hmm. Moraes got checked by Usman. I don't know. Overseas, maybe the quality of the card maybe just isn't as good. That's why those fighters take a longer time to get out of there. But here's another thing. Make some noise when you win. Like Darren Till. He wins overseas. I can't wait to see his next fight.
Not too many cards.
That's another thing.
I think that plays a part in it.
Let's take this quick call before we get to the end of the first hour. It's Showtime in Tennessee. What's up, Showtime? It's yo time.
What's going on, fellas?
What up?
Not much, man. You?
Fly, eagle, fly.
No, that's right.
Hey, Showtime.
You know it, man. Yo.
Sing the rest of the song.
On the way to victory. I don't know how
that. Oh, man. I knew I got him. I'm not questioning you're an Eagles fan. I know you're an Eagles fan. I wanted to have some fun here, but I really do believe you should go out and learn that song in case you go on another show. And
you know what?
A bigger asshole host asked you to do, because that would be your chance to shove a pie right back in their face. You had a chance to do that to me, and I got you. I put a pie in your face. But any Eagles fan should know that song.
Could he have maybe dropped one or two more lines? And
you
said, all right, you got it.
He only needed about another, what do they call it, a stanza or
a verse?
A verse, and I would have said, well, I don't know the rest. But I was at that stadium, and I was in awe when the Niners played the Eagles back in 2003 with Jeff Garcia and Terrell Owens. We won 30-27 in overtime. But I remember them fucking people singing that same song over and over. Fly, Eagles, fly, on your way to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly. Something about 1, 2, 3, and and they just kept going and going and going, and it drove me nuts. But I thought it was also pretty cool and catchy. So that's why I kind of would have known if he was bullshitting or not. Hey, man, you want to hang out through the break, or you got something quick to bounce out to?
No, I hang on, man. I might have memorized this song because I'm looking at it.
All right, you got about 2.5 minutes to memorize the song, and then we'll sing it. All right, folks. So that's just like Showtime. You can follow him, 866-522-2846. Still got 1 more hour to go. Our next guest isn't for about 20-25 minutes. His name's Kyle Stewart. He'll be headlining a forthcoming LFA card. It's not this week. It's the following week out in Texas. So we'll talk to Kyle Stewart, 7-0, undefeated.
33.
LFA 33, that's right. But we have time to take some calls and touch on the latest news just like we have been doing. So stay close. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93.
All those hopes down the drain. Fever, Las Vegas turning day into nighttime, turning night into daytime. If you see
right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. That's Automatic 253, led by Danny Okers there on the vocals. Danny, man, you can hit the high notes.
I know, right?
Yeah. Good job. Hey, if we raise $1,000 between all of Junkie Nation, would you cover that at your next concert? But you got to try your hardest to hit those notes.
I mean, do I get there $1,000 if I can't hit the notes, but I try?
Yeah, because we respect you. We think you're an honest guy. We think you'd try. Did I throw in the part where you have to wear a Batman mask and a Speedo?
You did not throw that part in until right now.
We'll make it 1,100 if you do that. You think Junkie Nation would pitch in?
I'm good for 50.
Try it, Danny. Say, cool it now. Don't hit the high note. Just say it.
Cool it now.
Ooh, he's got work. He's got work to do. Yeah. Showtime sang better than you. Let's bring back Showtime. Hey, Showtime, you got that song ready or what? No looking at lyrics. All by memory.
I'm ready, man. But you know what, though? This the thing about it. I knew the lyrics, but I couldn't do the background hook because they, you know, when they do it as a band, it's different people. You know, some fans actually wrote this song, right? The guys that performed this at the Super Bowl, they wrote this song.
Oh, yeah?
And now they let them perform it. But, yeah, I'm ready
Justin
now.
Timberlake
I
wrote
pretty
that?
much knew the lyrics anyway. Huh?
None.
Bust it out.
All right, I'm ready. Here we go. Let me clear my throat a little bit like Danny.
What are you, pink? You throwing out?
Yeah.
You spitting out that
Who
throat
you,
lozenge?
You Enrique
Look, I
Palazzo
didn't
or
clear my
what?
throat at all. I started as soon as you told me to start.
I'm ready.
Well, so are we.
Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. Fight, Eagles, fight. Touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Low, hit 'em high. Eagles fly, fly, Eagles fly on the road to victory.
I'll give you a pass since. Oh, wow.
Oh, damn, I messed that up.
Eagle,
My bad.
yeah. That one actually wasn't bad. I think you're driving your truck, so I definitely don't want to put you in any danger. So I think that's good enough. We'll take that.
Yeah, but I got a headset on though, so I'm not. I got both hands on the steering wheel. I just got my headset on, so.
Where you at?
It's cool. It's hard trying to go a cappella, man, without no music. I'm actually in Missouri, man, headed to Denver, man.
Ooh, you should be heading to Philadelphia. The Super Bowl parade's on Thursday.
Yeah, I know it's on Thursday, man. Hey, check this out, man. How about this, man? I didn't get a chance to call in yesterday. Man, the fight card just went so wacky Saturday night, man, and I pretty much lost. And at the end of the night, I put everything I had on Machida, man. I was just having an eerie feeling about that fight. I was like, it was kind of Machida's last stance. And I'm like, if Machida got anything in him, you know, he's gonna be able to basically weather the storm, man. So I bet on Machida, and then I bet on Philly. So I actually got back and some. So I'm looking pretty sweet coming into this weekend.
Well, there you go. I mean, I was on Philly, but I got it wrong. I had Anders, and I bet on Anders, so that one stung.
I was on the Patriots and Anders.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a fool.
Yeah.
Hey, I was thinking about when they were talking about some guy that won a bunch of money on baseball, betting, bet on the World Series and dropped all the money on the Super Bowl. I was just laughing. I'm like, I wonder if that was Vegas Dave, but that wasn't Vegas Dave, though, was it?
No, it's somebody called Better X. They call him Better X. I think if you dig hard enough, I think he's been revealed who he is, but he's been known around town as Better X, and I heard that I think 5 $2 million bets on the money line were made. I don't know if it was the same guy or just different people, but a lot of people had confidence in the Eagles, which shocks me, and I'll tell you why. Because, A, the Patriots just have been so clutch in Super Bowls. All their games have been close, honestly, and they've performed, when they needed to, because the quarterback position is so key, and they have, the number 2 greatest quarterback of all time. But Nick Foles, he's a backup for crying out loud. I just kept thinking, it's gonna run out. And it didn't. I mean, he performed great. Even that one interception it really wasn't his fault, But Brady's 40. I get it, but I mean, Jesus, he threw for 5,000 yards. He had a great season. He's the MVP, well deserved. But I think that's what people thought was, in the end, maybe Eagles to cover and lose by 3 on a field goal, overtime, who knows. But not to win straight up, and they did it. And even when they took the lead at 33-32, I think a lot of people felt like this is where Foles goes down and throws that interception, or they get sacked, and this is where Mike Patricia, the defensive coordinator, now the coach of the Detroit Lions, him and Bill Belichick, they run some sort of a defensive scheme and blitz you or do something, and then everyone's asking them, how'd you do it? Well, I made the adjustments, we studied, whatever. It didn't happen. The Eagles just responded. And the kicker, how about the kicker? 45 yards or 48 yards, the last one. Can you do it? Yeah, boom. 3 out of 3. Chris Elliott, I think his name is. And if you recall, back when they played the Giants in season or game week 3, I think, that guy kicked a 61-yarder. And the Eagles say that they were propelled by that victory, So it was really, really just a team effort. Graham batting the ball away from Brady. That was key. He was getting double teamed most of the game. In that one game, he went 1-on-1 with I think his name's Chip Mason from New England. So just it was the right time. And how about New England not even starting Malcolm Butler, who was the MVP of the game against Seattle? He's the one that picked the ball off, right at the end. Did they overthink themselves? Who knows?
I'm gonna tell you something funny. I'm originally from Mississippi, and there was several guys on there, with Malcolm Butler being one that is about 30 minutes from my hometown. He's from Vicksburg, Mississippi. The kicker for New England, Stephen Gostkowski, he went to Madison Central, which is about 10 minutes from my hometown. And the guy Fletcher Cox, number 91, which his head coach in high school was my defensive back coach when I went to Alcorn State. He's from about 30 minutes away. But, man, what about the kahunas on our coach, man?
I know.
I was down. He made a lot of those decisions. Man, you know what? Belichick finally ran up against somebody that had the kahunas. Because Belichick could call your bluff, and a lot of coaches fold. They get scared and fold. And when it was 4th and 1, and we went for it and we got it, I was like, okay, this may be our night, man. And I'm just so happy, man. I'm listening to guys calling in. I was listening to 97.5 The Fan earlier, the Philly station. Man, people calling in crying. I mean, it's just crazy, man.
Well, you should cry. If you're a hardcore fan like that and your team's never won it, you should cry. I think every man should tear up. When Darryl Green grabbed that trophy and he starts that walk, if you're not tearing up, or at least watery eyes, all them tough guys, at least give me the watery eyes. I don't expect you to cry like a baby. But that's a big moment for the United States. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Because that's probably the most watched TV show that we have in the most popular sport that, again, everyone's either played growing up or attended or been a part of, or you're hosting a party or you're at a party or your wife was a cheerleader, whatever. And that's a huge moment. It's a really, really prestigious trophy presentation, and they have a really great song. Goes, can you find the Super Bowl anthem, or Danny? I really love it, man. I love it. They walk up. The Eagles are kissing the trophy. That's the way it should be. You know what I mean? So good for those fans, man. It should be that way. You pour your heart and into these squads, and you call into shows and you cheer, and you go when it's cold, you go when it's hot. You're there with your team, win or lose or whatever, and it means something to you, man. Think about how much money people spend on season tickets, or just a family of 4 to go to one game. That's got to set you back $1,000. A lot of people don't have that grand, but the NFL is expensive, and not everyone can do it, but you can still turn on your TV and cheer. All right, we got to let you go, Eagle Guy. Thanks for the call. Showtime from Tennessee. Stay safe out on the roads. Marco in Waco. What's up, Marco?
Hey, Marco from Waco. ¿Qué pasa, Atos?
¿Qué pasa?
I don't want to hear about Philly or the Patriots no more, man. I am with Super Bowl overload right now. Congrats, Philly. Fuck the Patriots. It's still a great game. Okay. I recap my Super Bowl experience. It sucks that freaking Max Holloway got hurt, dude. I kind of hit me on the dot yesterday. Dude, we forgot to make our sacrifices to the MMA gods. We were going to have it so good the next 3-4 months. It sucks. Is it true that maybe Garber is going to fight Frankie? They say Brian Ortega too. I like that matchup better.
I don't. Why? I don't like the Ortega matchup because, I mean, look, if he's ready to go, great. But you got to be at your best to fight Frankie Edgar. Coming off 1 month, I just hate for that kid to take his only loss.
That's not gonna sell
for that. Yeah, you're right, and it's really not going to be that much of a sell. Now, Garbrandt is interesting because it's two guys from different weight classes, and how about the manager not talking these guys out of it? I mean, that's pretty impressive. Usually, the manager doesn't want a fighter to take a loss, but that's actually pretty impressive. It's a different twist. It won't hurt Garbrandt as a bantamweight status, and it could hurt Edgar, but then again, he's the one that's willing to fight. I mean, I don't know. There's many ways to look at it, but I really would rather not have Ortega fight on that card. Now, that said, I believe that when Ortega won, and I think it was either Stevens or Emmett or somebody, we said put him on the same card as Edgar and Holloway. That way you have matching camps, matching timelines, and if Edgar can't fight, you have someone for Holloway. In this instance, Holloway, the champion, can't fight, and Edgar still wants to. Would one of those other guys want to break away and fight Edgar? Perhaps, because they're already in camp. But that's why I kind of stress the importance of doing that. Now, I don't need all 5 cards, all 5 fights on the main card to be 45, 45, 45. I mean, if they do it, I'm not opposed, but I'd rather them not. But at least have 3. That way you can have a little bit of this mixing and matching that happens. How nice would it have been for someone to step in and fight Dotson when Sunsao couldn't? You know, another highly ranked guy. But that's not a pay-per-view, so that's a different animal altogether.
You know, like Luke Thomas has been on this freaking high horse that we're like diluting the cars too much, and the cars are suffering. Then I can start thinking about it. You know, in April we got Habib and freaking Kukui, great. But May and June, dude, it looks empty. I don't like. We know in July we got DCST, and maybe a co-headliner TJ DJ. You know, Mighty Mouse and TJ Dillashaw. But for May and June, I haven't heard any talk about main events, and I've seen that the UFC is putting themselves in these little boxes, and they're not preparing this fight far ahead of time enough, man. We might suffer on Memorial Day and then on the June card. What do you guys think? I'll leave you guys with that. You know, you guys figure it out. My head hurts.
See you, buddy. Well, what's on it? I mean, they have the other title fight, but if one of the two guys gets hurt, I see talking about it. I'm not gonna play the jinx game. Fuck it. Life is life. Whether it's a jinx or not, we have to talk about it because it's important. If either Habib or Tony, for whatever reason, cannot fight, you still want to see the other guy fight, right? Or
Yeah.
do you have to see that matchup?
No, you just want to see one of the other.
Right. And when one of them does become the undisputed champ, if Conor McGregor truly still is the undisputed champ, at some point I believe they will collide. So I don't believe either guy is going to retire and them two not collide. But I would like to see one or the other fight. That's why I think I'd love to see, I would have liked to have seen, who is it, Poirier and Gaethje on the same card, but they're 1 week later, headlining, I think, a big Fox card in Arizona. And basically, if Habib can't go, Poirier steps in. Nobody would argue that, right?
Yeah.
And if Tony can't go, then Habib either has to wait for Tony if he's the undisputed guy, or he fights Poirier. I mean, they still get great paychecks. That's why they want to fight. They get a great paycheck. That's the reward for the camp. They figure they can fight the guy on another occasion. The ones that really hurt are the champions that know that a certain particular dance partner is going to be a good pay-per-view sell. I imagine. I don't know. You got it?
Got it.
Play it, Danny. This is the Super Bowl trophy presentation song. I love it.
This one?
That one. So Darryl Green, one of the greatest players ever, is standing there with it, and then boom, he starts to march forward. That's where you see Kevin Hart not being allowed to get up on that little stage that they had, and you saw the players are like touching it, kissing it. That to me is like one of my favorite parts of the Super Bowl.
The Stanley Cup has a nice one too.
Do they?
Yeah.
No, but if we can find it, we'll play it. But I've always liked this one.
This is pretty good.
It sounds prestigious. You like it, Danny? You're a musician.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
Has prestige to it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Makes you feel like something important's about to happen.
Right. Well, can't wait for the Niners to have to hear this
I like
again.
the State of the Union address when the president walks out, and the guy does the announcement.
Right.
I think that's a cool moment.
Yeah, it is. Now, what I would like to see is the UFC, and they've already started to do it, to make their Hall of Fame rise to the level. I don't know if they'll ever be able to match NFL. I mean, come on, we're 100 years away, and it's just a whole other animal.
It's different.
But they took a step up. You know, it wasn't just, hey, everybody, go to this stage. Dana White's about to present a plaque to Forrest Griffin. You know, I like that now it became an event and part of the UFC's International Fight Week. And John Anik came out, and they had presenters, and they rented a proper theater. There was some cool stories. There was a presenter. I mean, like, Fry presenting Sakuraba was cool, you know, and Benavidez and Garbrandt presenting, you know, Faber. So I think they could add to it in different ways to just, you know, keep it growing.
I think the same way you see jerseys retired hanging from the rafters, they could retire shorts, but not at every card, but maybe their 100s, 200s, you know, that sort of thing. It could be up there. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But now that it's Reebok, I don't know that it would be that cool.
Who do you think will be? It's probably too tough to just think about it right now. But God, they got to get Frank Shamrock in there. If you want to make yourself a legitimate Hall of Fame, you have to put the beefs and the biases aside. He had beef with Miletich, I'm talking about Dana White, and Don Fry. Don Fry's was mostly with Joe Silva's, but still. And they got inducted, and I feel like Frank Shamrock, who won a world title and also defended it either 4 or 5 times, I'm not sure, he needs to go in. And then once we do that, then you can continue building. I felt like that was glaring, though. That was an omission that should not be there. I will say this. If Boss went in, I think Kelvin Randleman needs to go in. You know? And there's a few others that, because of somebody's, you know, popularity or accomplishments or whatever, you look and see, and, you know, somebody else's resume and it's very similar.
It's too late to
then
draw
you have
a
to
line
open
now,
it up.
though. That's the thing. They've already done things a certain way, and
well, now at least they have these different wings.
Let's help.
I was thinking about it when Trig was here the other day. Do you like that they retired a fight?
I don't know that it...
Because what does it do for Frank? Like, Frank, I announced him as a member of the UFC Hall of Fame. Others would say his fight went in. I'm like, well, he was part of the fucking fight, you know? Others would say, but he lost it. I'm like, well, yeah, but it was. They said it was great. I mean, usually when it's a one-way wrecking train, you don't say that's a great fight. So both had moments. And so, of course, you can do the dance all day. But, I don't know. I believe that if he's a member of the Hall of Fame, then it's not just the fight. It's you felt something for him, too. Now, remember, he drew a little bit of a bad guy out of Matt Hughes. Matt Hughes, sorry, man, but he was kind of just boring. He was great, but he was boring. And Frank Trigg actually made those fights exciting for a reason. It made you more of a Matt Hughes, kick his ass, Hughes fan, whereas before you just kind of show up and say, you wouldn't say much because Hughes was just a machine. He was, whatever. But in this instance, it became personal, and you were more invested in it. Anyway, think about that, and we'll talk about it when we come back. We got to take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. Stay close, and we'll be right back. We'll be talking to Kyle Stewart, who's headlining LFA 33, and that fight card's coming up in about 10 days.
They are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tats. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Big shout out in the Facebook chat to Nelson Ramses. Game DD is shouting out Big Country. Scarlett Garcia, she's tuning in. Matthew Allen says, tell Josh Emmett his friend Matthew said congrats. Dances Whippets says, hello everybody. Joseph Kingsbury, shout out to you, asking us how we're doing. And a few more names here like Phil Edelstein. He's got perfect attendance. We always see him in there. I'll check out the YouTube chat in a little bit. Thank you all for joining us every morning in the chat and hanging out. 866-522-2846 is the number to call in. Goes yesterday as I was working on the rankings. I came across, you know how YouTube can just be random? I came across a video that had some of the deadliest creatures on the planet. Some of our old favorites are definitely there, but there's some new ones as well. Would you like to hear them?
I would.
Oh, all right. Let's do that after the Hall of Fame discussion that we were having.
All right. Here's what the way I look at it.
Yeah.
The fight is in the Hall of Fame, not the fighters. I've thought about this before. How you introduce Trig. If you do introduce him as a Hall of Famer, his fight is in the Hall of Fame, but I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame. And I think you have to kind of have a division. Otherwise, none of it's ever going to make sense, right? You're going to go, wait, that guy's in the Hall of Fame? No, his fight is, so I think you have to draw the line.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's where I have a problem with that. And sometimes I'll just take the other side just to be a dick.
Mm-hmm.
But remember how you said the bar was lowered? And this isn't a disrespect to anybody else that I'm about to bring up, but they just haven't reached some of the greatness of the people that will wind up being inducted or already inducted. Stephan Bonner went in, not his fight, right? He went in with Forrest Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
Was he that much better than Trig?
No.
Trig competed for a world title. Bonner didn't. Bonner did have the most significant fight in UFC history, but his couldn't have been that far behind if it's in the Hall of Fame, right? And isn't Mask in there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tap Out was great, but this is about fighting. So that's maybe wing contributor, and there's going to be some other contributors. So I feel like the fight, I mean, there was a performance in the fight. He almost took out a Hall of Famer. I get it. The fight is what went in. But I feel like going forward, and maybe it's just because he's our friend, I am going to introduce him as a member of the UFC Hall of Fame, not one of the two participants of the fight that got inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2000, whatever it was. It just seems so awkward, and it almost seems like it now becomes a slight.
Right.
And
member of the Hall of Fame,
mm-hmm.
I could see that because, all right, but there has to be a difference between him and, say, Randy Couture, right? There's got to be a difference because they're not in for the same thing. So the way it's introduced has to be different. A member of the Hall of Fame, I think, is maybe different than a Hall of Famer. Make sense?
Yeah.
There has to be a
Well, no, I get what you're saying. I mean,
it's not a slight at him.
Trig wouldn't argue that as either. I mean, Randy Couture won 2 world titles in 2 different weight classes, and he won a tournament. So what he did those are Hall of Fame credentials. But I believe he's still a Hall of Fame member. People have told me in the past, no, he's not, and I just politely disagree. But yeah, if you want to say what he did and others did is different, sure. But for some reason that fight got picked out, and that's what they're running with. And you know, really, if you go, Dana, what's the reason for Stephan? It's not because of performance. It's not because it was a Hall of Fame career. It's because of the significance of a certain fight. So I'm wondering how that's any different. I think at that point,
he got a special spot in his heart, right? Because that saved his company, basically.
Mm-hmm. But now that was done before the whole contributor thing started, right? These different wings or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. All right. Now, Danny, can you play that video that I sent you, or no? Or does Goes have to play it?
No, I got it.
All right. Start about a minute in, and let's listen to some of these. And Goes and I will talk over what we're about to hear. But
Do you think we're
I'm
about
telling
to
you,
hear
man,
the Samsung 280 is the news?
it's just like it creeps me the fuck out. Like thinking these things are out there. I actually, as he was talking, I started looking to see where they could be located. And let me tell you one thing: do not go to Eastern Africa, where about 8 of these 12 predators exist. Just don't go there. Don't go there, because if the poverty wasn't bad enough, and the Somalian pirates and I don't know, dude, it is really, really dangerous in Africa and in the rainforest in the Amazon. Couple times they said Peru, but they were very clear that it was the Amazon, so the north part of Peru. But I'm thinking, holy shit, like there are a lot of dangerous creatures that just sting you with venom, and if you don't get to a doctor in 30 minutes, that's it. It's a wrap.
Let's hear it, Danny.
In fact, if you touch the hairs, they will penetrate your skin and sting you.
This is a damn caterpillar.
That doesn't seem fair now, does it? According to the experience of other people,
it looks like a toupee. I know no one can see this, but this thing looks like a toupee.
So stay away from this caterpillar if you can. However, if you get stung, doctors recommend washing the area. Use soap and water, but be very careful not to press the spot, because this will make the poison spread faster. After you finish washing the sting, put some ice on it to reduce the pain. If the pain doesn't go away within the next 30 minutes or so, go to the hospital immediately. We think caterpillar pus looks too gross to touch it, and we hope you agree with us.
Pause it right there, Danny.
Now,
so what happens is this caterpillar, and I think he's in Costa Rica, if you touch him and his little hairs, which can sting you, get on your hand, you know how you would normally go, get that off me. I guess you can either bury them more, lodge them more into your skin, or put them into your other fingers. So you're supposed to just stay calm, find some water and some soap. You're in the rainforest, but all this is handy apparently. And I guess, I don't know how you would rub the soap without kind of doing the same thing, but maybe at a softer motion, so to alleviate the sting or the pain. And then 30 minutes later, if that doesn't help, you head to a doctor. Again, you're in a rainforest, by the way. But I've been to Costa Rica 2 times, and I was thinking, wow, like I wonder how close I was to any of this. I told you I got off of a bridge with a buddy's buddy, and we overlooked the bridge goes, and it was the difference between here, between the Tropicana, the Tropicana Hotel, and the Excalibur. You know that bridge you walk across?
Yeah.
Or Excalibur, New York, same thing. Picture that size of a bridge and looking down below, and there's crocodiles there. A lot of them.
Like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom?
Yeah. A lot of them. And you would think, well, you're on a bridge. Yeah, but you know what? The bridge ran out at some point. It wouldn't be that unreasonable to find out that a crocodile can just make it up to the bridge.
Damn.
I mean, and they look big. And I'm thinking, if someone owed someone money, take them out to the bridge and hold them by the ankles. And when they look down, they will pay you whatever sum you needed. It's that scary. And I remember thinking for a moment, am I about to get thrown over? Like, is this all set up? Did I say something wrong?
Who are you with? Oh.
Yeah. So
that thing does look like a toupee.
Yeah.
I would think nothing of that.
Go to the next one, Dan.
I thought this was a joke video, just to say. I thought this was a joke video because I kept seeing that like in the thumbnail, and it looks like a very important person's hair.
Yeah, it is kind of.
A lot like it.
Play it again.
That you should run from as fast as you can if you ever encounter them in the wild. Counting down from number 12, Death Stalker. Well, the name says it all. This is the deadliest scorpion of all. To give you some perspective, the Death Stalker is responsible for 75% of all victims of scorpion attacks. Usually it doesn't kill healthy adults. They only feel terrible pain. But it can easily kill children. If they are stung, they have a fever, coma, and finally, they can't breathe because the lungs are filled with fluids. If this kind of scorpion still doesn't seem awful enough to you, how do you like this? They can demonstrate cannibalistic behavior if they can't find other food. They can also eat snakes if they win the fight.
How do they eat a snake? Stop it right there, Danny. How would they eat a snake?
I don't know.
I guess they just chew them up little by little.
Mouths. Like, where are their mouths?
Well, they do have mouths, but they use their little stinger to sting you.
Yeah, till you die, and then they... But the snake is big.
Well, so this scorpion, because in Vegas we have scorpions. In Arizona, there's more scorpions. In fact, the scorpions in Vegas were brought to the scorpions, or brought to Vegas by people that brought palm trees. They wanted to have the Spanish-style type of house or the Hawaiian feel or whatever, and so they brought them, and a lot of scorpions got imported. I actually pay for a service every month because I don't want Max to get bit. I know that if a human gets bit, I've had buddies get bit. Andrew Simon's gotten bit. Our buddy Steve Straw's gotten bit. It stings, and you basically just sit around at home for a couple days because depending on where you get stung, they got stung in the foot. They couldn't walk, but you'll live. But Max, I don't know, and I definitely didn't want that. So that service, we get it. He comes every 2 months. I've never seen a scorpion. I've seen him when we walked Max a couple times, but only 2, and it was way out in the open. So right away I started looking it up. Is this death stalker or whatever anywhere around here? No, he's a bigger scorpion, and he can be found mostly, I was reading, in like Egypt, Algeria. So this was more like northern Africa.
Yeah, I'm not there. I would move if that thing was here.
Yeah. Danny, proceed. We'll do one more.
Immediately. Isn't this fun? Number 11, carpet viper. Here comes another champion.
It's a snake.
Carpet viper is considered to be the deadliest snake because it kills the biggest number of people yearly. The way it kills is really curious in an awful way. It injects some toxin into the blood of the victim. This toxin doesn't let the blood clot, so the victim just bleeds to death. Number 10, cone snail. Now, this snail is so dangerous that 1 drop of its venom is more than enough to end 20 human lives. The worst thing about it is there is no cure or some kind of antidote. If it stings you, you are dead, whatever you do. It is also known as the cigarette snail because its poison kills you as fast as it takes you to finish 1 cigarette. Hopefully, you don't smoke so that you'll have time for something more important.
All right, Danny, can you pause it right there? That one can be found in Southern California, and I'll tell you where. If you go to the beaches, basically there are, you know how every beach has like a set of rocks?
Mm-hmm.
They kind of tend to live and burrow themselves underneath there. Now, only one time did I actually walk on rocks. It was in Corona Del Mar, California.
Hurts.
And, yeah, it wasn't easy, but I was a little kid, so I was walking, and I just kind of got out to, like, almost the end. And you'd see the water coming underneath, and you'd see, seaweed, whatever. It was actually just no big deal. That's what kids do. And as I was walking back, I saw a tarantula. And I just remember going, oh, my God. I was like, whoa, okay. And I think I just seen the Brady Bunch where Peter has the tarantula attack him or near him or whatever. And I just remember going, wow, like I want nothing to do with that. And I just remember since then, I've never gone near the rocks, nor will I or whatever. But even more reason, these can be found, I think it's off probably the coast. It's either Australia or Africa. It's always one of those two. It was like 3 spots around the world, but one of them was, oh, no, it's the Mediterranean. And I remember Southern California is a Mediterranean climate. So it was the Mediterranean Ocean, and I believe it was the tip of Africa, which is Cape Town, way down there. And I think
big sharks there.
And I think Southern California. So I'm a beachgoer. I go out into the water. I don't fear the great white because I fear he's too much to the north and too far out. I don't go that far out anyway. I don't surf or nothing. But, yeah, the rock's even more reason to stay away because this little guy, I guess if you step on him, all of a sudden it sends some...
That's just a dumb way to die.
It is a dumb way to die.
Stupid.
Yeah, you want to do another one? You good?
Yeah, I'll do one more.
One more, Danny.
Looks like a stone. See? Now, there are 2 things you need to know about this fish. First, if you confuse it with a rock and step on its spikes, it will poison you, and you will lose your leg. That's actually the best case scenario. The stonefish is very economical. It injects the amount of poison proportional to the pressing weight. The second thing is, it takes the stonefish just 0.15 seconds to react to a moving object, another fish, or your leg, to open its mouth and bite it. So, losing a leg is really possible. So watch your step whenever you are in the ocean.
It's camouflage, too.
One more, Danny, because we were already talking about that. Let's do one more.
Number 8, Africanized honeybee. This kind of bee is very different from all others because Africanized honeybees are actually a result of an experiment.
Some asshole in Brazil.
A Brazilian man was trying to make a new breed of bees and actually let them out. So these bees are more aggressive than regular bees, maybe because they know they were genetically engineered and are pissed off about it. and they can chase their victims for very long distances. Their poison is not more dangerous than the one that normally more friendly bees have, but if you get stung by a large number of them, you should see a doctor anyway.
Yeah.
We have those in Southern California in certain
We
parts,
do?
right? Yeah, didn't they have like a craze not too long ago?
Maybe that's the one I didn't investigate. But most of them have to do with Eastern Africa or Australia. Big shocker there. And
Love that shit.
And the rainforest. So Brazil gets mentioned a lot because the Amazon is mostly through the the Amazon rainforest cuts most, or the Amazon River and the rainforest is primarily found in most parts of Brazil, and I think the northeastern part of Peru, and then the southern parts of southeastern part of Colombia. Yeah. So there you go. Tomorrow we'll do the other ones, but it was fun just to learn a little bit more. But two of our good friends will make an appearance.
The box jellyfish for sure, and the blue ring octopus, I have to admit.
Well, you just spoiled it, but yeah, they do.
Can I give a preview for the next one?
Yeah,
I'm not even
sure.
going to say what it is, but it's a spider. I am terrified of spiders.
Yeah, well, that one don't play. That's for sure. But
yeah,
and that one is found in Brazil, in populated areas, and I was like, great! I can't wait to go back. But it also said in more. It specified and made me feel good that there's a good chance that I may not have to encounter it. I don't know when I'm down in Rio de Janeiro. That said, I haven't been there since 2009, but I used to go a lot. So I don't know. All right, let's go to the phones here. Hal in Chicago. What's up, Hal? How you doing?
I'm great. You?
Great.
Well, I'm glad. You feel strong because I'm about to stun on you.
What did I do?
Well, I'm going to stun gun for Gigi for his ethnocentrism. When talking to Ben from New Zealand, you chastised him for using jandals. Now, jandals sounds like sandals. It's kind of close.
So just say sandals then.
So, right. But the Americans made up a whole new flip-flops. What is that? Flip-flops. How do you look at that and decide that's flip-flops? So isn't flip-flops the more ridiculous term for that?
No, because flip-flop it's a complete different term from sandals. So I believe in the South they call a bag a poke, right? Have you heard that one?
No, I've never heard that.
Yeah, I think
I know like pop and soda.
Right. So they're complete different words. But in New Zealand, like, you know what it reminds me of is it would be creative. Like, do you remember when Gray Maynard came to the show? He was wearing shorts made out of jeans, and people decided to call them jorts. Okay, that makes sense. They're shorts made out of jeans. I get why the J is present. But jandals is just somebody didn't like sandals, and he said, "No, I'm gonna fucking call it jandals." How about that? And now everyone's into it, I guess, down in New Zealand. I don't know, but sandals is pretty clear. Everywhere I've traveled, you ask for sandals, nobody goes, "What was that?" And then someone taps them on the shoulder and goes, "He means jandals."
How?
Maybe because now they wear them as jeans, and not just for the sand.
Now, see, that would shut me up right there. If there was some gene to the sandal itself, then I think at that point all bets are off. I will come in with an apology, but I don't think that's the case.
Only one gentleman can clear this up.
Lucas or Ben?
Ben. Lucas is off being a nerd or something like that.
Okay.
You haven't seen that picture of him? He's dressed as a nerd.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He went to the rugby game like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
There's a whole crew of nerds.
Why
It was
that,
awesome.
though? I thought it was pretty cool, but I don't understand. It looked like a
That's where you find
rave,
it.
actually.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
It was, but, anyway.
Good one, nerd.
Yeah.
Hey, Doze, congratulations on the transformation, looking sharp.
Thanks.
Looking, feeling good. Can you talk a little bit about, I feel like that's a really big deal. Don't you think that's a big deal?
The jandals?
No, with Goes. Goes what Goes did. I mean, Goes lost a lot of weight.
It is a big deal because how many times on the show have we talked about that and we started diets, whether they're fad diets or water diets or this or that. We've had Dolce come on and inspire us. We've had bets where we win, we lose, we're not going to eat, we're not going to drink. And we've had some feel good stories. I think Tony, the first time he did water, lost 30 pounds. Somebody else, Rob Robertson or somebody from Canada, once told me that we inspired him. He lost 100. Goes lost 50. Our editor in chief lost quite a few as well. I don't know that we were his inspiration, but man, I really take my hat off to all of the ones that did something. And I mean, that's a complete life changer. It wasn't just 10 pounds where, well, now I can get my jeans out of the closet and they fit. I mean, this is like whole new wardrobe. It's amazing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and a lot of guys in Junkie Nation, we all struggle with the way, man. I mean, I love fast food and I love cheeseburgers and deep dish pizza and beer and we all struggle with it. So, if I could ask you guys, you guys have time, man, talk a little bit about what was different this time, man. What did it for you? Because I think it's an outstanding accomplishment. I commend you, and I hope that other junkies get inspired too, man. Let's get healthy. We don't want to see anybody go away too early in this life, man. And we're all getting older, and these newer junkies. I mean, come on, they're just not as cool as us. So I want us to stick around as much as possible and not have to be in the doctor all day when we're in our 40s and 50s. So you guys take care of yourselves out there and goes, yeah. I'm curious what made the switch, man.
All right, thanks, Al.
Man, I kind of don't like talking about this because people get annoyed with my answer, but it really wasn't that much.
It was pretty basic, huh?
Yeah, so it wasn't like I was on a specific diet. Or all I really did was, like, say Monday and Tuesday, I ate what I consider clean, which really isn't, but it was like a bowl of cereal, and then like for lunch, a piece of toast with some scrambled eggs on it or something, and a yogurt. And then I would do something like that the next day too. And then Wednesday I'd eat whatever I want. Sometimes it was pizza, steak, and then I would just do it again Thursday and Friday. And then Saturday I'd eat whatever I want. So I wasn't
2 days strict,
but
1 day not
yeah.
so strict.
And then I kind of already did do some exercise before, but I just upped it a little bit more. And then the one thing that I did stick to was kind of not really soda or chips very much. But other than that, that was pretty much it.
Well, but you're also forgetting that you leave the house 5 days a week and go run.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I used to do that a lot. Like, I didn't do it every day, but it wasn't 5 days a week. It was really like 3, I think. And then with Ulysses, so about 4 days a week, I did something. Sometimes I'd run the hill instead of running. But before that, I was already running maybe twice a week, so I just upped it up a little bit. But yeah, I think my habits were so bad before that just toning back on them a little bit was like enough to drop a lot of weight.
So Dan Stupp, I know, eats ice cream almost every day.
Really?
And I think he has eggs quite frequently for breakfast. And there's a lean meat, so it's not like he went vegetarian. I think it was just portion size, and he counted his calories. But one thing he committed to was walking every day, his dog, and hiking, basically,
Mm-hmm.
And he did, his key number was the 10,000 steps, which he can easily eclipse that, 12,000, 18,000, depending on the length of the hike. But he stuck with it. And that, along with the diet, like I said, I mean, if you listen to what he says, like, he'll tell you, I mean, there's some pretty decent meals in there, similar to Goz's. It wasn't anything that was too radical. It was all positive. Now, one thing Hal touched on is true. Some big kids in Junkie Nation, and a lot of people don't like talking about it. And I've heard that there's just some that kind of almost give you the Heisman. Okay, I understand that. It's uncomfortable. Nobody likes to hear, that the speech or whatever. But I will tell you this. Forget about, oh, your clothes will look better, which they will. Forget about you'll have more energy. All that stuff you hear in commercials or people tell you all the time. You just live longer. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people come from that spot. Like Hal said, boy, we'd love to have 30 more junkie gatherings with the same people or whatever, and or the mini gatherings that happen, or maybe some of the people that just become friends because they happen to live close to each other. They want to hang out. It's that kind of care and love that I think gets expressed, and I think some people take it as, yeah, man, I've heard the commercial. Yeah, I've heard the fighter. I've heard this person, whatever. And you just don't want to hear it. And I understand that. But if you take it as, remember, there's every single person individually, wherever you may be listening to the show, wherever you live, you have people that outside of MMA that care for you, love you, and they just want you to live longer. And I'm pretty sure everyone wants to live longer. And if you don't, that's a whole other problem. But I'm pretty sure everyone wants to live longer. And so every time you go to the doctor, especially like my age when I'm going, there's certain things I'm fearing. You know what I mean? That he's gonna say. And so right away people are probably gonna say, "Why aren't you doing anything about it?" I don't know. I want to. I start to. I just don't finish it. That's why what Goes and Dan did were incredible, because it was a start and a finish. It was like a 6-month, a 9-month, a 12-month race. And then once you got there, then you can like exhale and still get back to some cheat meals or whatever. But because you got there, I think you started on a certain discipline that you can come back to. But test yourself mentally. When you're about to do something bad, see if you can talk yourself out of doing it, and then being proud of yourself. But I think it's in conjunction with both, not just the diet, but getting out there, walking. You'll just live longer, and I'm pretty sure every single person wants to live longer.
Not me.
No,
I don't want to go past 80. I think.
But that's longer. What I meant is longer than where you're at now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what
I think if you're gonna do it, because there are people like that, you need to present something that they haven't heard already. Because they're not stupid. They look in the mirror every day. They know who they are. And don't forget, they got friends and family too, so they probably get it a lot. So if you're going to be that guy that's going to bring up something that's already obvious and that they already know, don't just bring it up. Have some sort of solution. So if I'm going to bring it up to somebody that's uncomfortable talking about it, I'm going to say something like, these are my reasonings. I love you. Check it out. I bought you Freshly for 2 weeks. Give it a try. Something different.
You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back. One last topic I want to talk about before we get out of here. It's Fabricio Verdum back on the mic for the Spanish broadcast for the UFC and their pay-per-view presentations. All right. Stay close.
They can drink Mentos-flavored Diet Coke without their stomachs giving a single fuck. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Alrighty, so we're going to bounce really quick. Goes Fabricio Verdum. No problems. Get back on the mic, do your thing.
I mean, it was a UFC decision. He kind of had two different incidents, I think, that would have kept him. One that got him off of it, and one that probably could have even cemented that a little further, like perhaps he didn't learn his lesson.
You think this active fighting and saving a couple cards might have contributed? Like, hey, you are a team player.
I have another theory.
Yeah?
How about, hey, I can get Cody Garbrandt to fight Frankie Edgar, but you're going to have to scratch my back a little bit. You know, my other client, why don't you give him his job back?
The power of the manager. Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't blame him for playing that card. I think in the end, the UFC knows what's right and what's wrong. And if the man did the right stuff, because remember, I think along with that, they wanted to give him some sensitivity, what do they call it? Sensitivity training within the LGBT community. And perhaps he went and complied. And you move on. I'm all for the second chances. And I know the president of the UFC, Dana White, is as well. So good on Fabricio.
Yeah.
I look forward to it. Now, I don't know if that means Marlon Vera's out or if they'll go back and forth, because I really am not sure if they do pay-per-views, Big Fox, all of them, fight nights, finales, all, none, some, who knows.
Brandon Moreno's done it too, I think, right?
I don't know. We got to get out of here, though. Thank you to Josh Emmett. Thank you to Roy Nelson. And we will try and have Kyle Stewart on another occasion. For now, we are out of here. So for Danny and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice day. Go out there and be a champion.
If you see it once, you'll never